The moon hung low in the sky, casting long, skeletal fingers of shadow across the deserted streets. Halloween night was always quiet in our town, the only sound the rustling of leaves and the distant, muffled laughter of trick-or-treaters. But I wasn't laughing. My heart pounded in my chest as I approached the infamous Bellows house, its towering spire reaching towards the moon like a bony finger. The legend of the Bellows house was woven into the fabric of our town. Built in the 1800s by Malcolm Bellows, a reclusive millionaire, the house was said to be cursed. Bellows had been obsessed with the occult, holding seances and rituals in his grand ballroom. But one Halloween night, a ritual had gone horribly wrong. His young daughter, Emily, had been consumed by a malevolent spirit, her soul trapped in the house. Ever since, Bellows's ghost was said to roam the streets, searching for souls to join his daughter in her eternal torment. My friends had dared me to go trick-or-treating at the Bellows house, their faces mocking in the glow of their flashlights. "Scaredy cat," they jeered, but I had to prove them wrong. I had to face whatever horrors the house held. The steps creaked beneath my sneakers, the sound echoing through the stillness. The front door, hanging crookedly from its hinges, groaned open by itself. I swallowed hard, my mouth dry, but I stepped across the threshold. The air inside was heavy with the stench of rot and decay, but there was something else too, something sweet and tantalizing, like the scent of candy. "Trick or treat!" I called out, my voice shaking. The words seemed to be swallowed by the oppressive atmosphere, leaving only silence. The house felt alive around me, the walls pressing in, the shadows writhing on the walls. I took another step forward, my heart pounding against my ribs. As I explored the decaying mansion, I stumbled upon remnants of the past. A dusty chandelier, its crystals dull and gray, a faded portrait, the faces of the family obliterated by time, and then, on a crumbling console table, a photograph. Emily Bellows smiled up at me, her eyes bright and innocent. She was dressed in a white party dress, a basket of candy clutched in her chubby little hands. There was no sign of Malcolm Bellows, no ghostly apparitions, just Emily, frozen in time. A chill ran down my spine as I stared at her image. There was something about her, something that drew me in, that made me want to uncover her story. I felt a connection to her, a sense of sorrow and loss. Suddenly, a whisper seemed to fill the air, the words indistinguishable, but the malevolent intent clear. "Get out while you still can." I spun around, but I was alone. The voice seemed to come from everywhere, echoing off the walls, vibrating through the floorboards. Fear clawed at my throat, but I couldn't look away from Emily's photograph. I had to know what had happened to her. I moved deeper into the house, the whispering growing louder, more urgent. Doors creaked open by themselves, revealing rooms frozen in the past. A nursery, the crib shrouded in cobwebs, a child's doll lying abandoned on the floor. A kitchen, the table set for a meal that would never be eaten. A child's seat at the head of the table. And then a grand ballroom, the chandelier casting flickering shadows on the walls. Across the room, Emily stood, her basket of candy at her feet. She was translucent, her form shimmering in the dim light, but her eyes were fixed on me, filled with a deep sorrow and longing. I felt a jolt of fear, but there was something else too, a sense of tragedy, of something gone horribly wrong. She wasn't menacing, wasn't reaching out to grab me, but her presence was more terrifying than any ghostly apparition. As I stared at her, a cold hand clamped down on my shoulder, the grip like ice. I tried to scream, but my voice was frozen in my throat. A low, rasping voice spoke in my ear. "You shouldn't have come here." The pressure was suffocating, as if death itself had me in its grasp. I tried to struggle, but I was paralyzed, trapped. But then the hand vanished. The voice fell silent. Emily's eyes never left mine, but I saw a flicker of something else in their depths, a warning, a command. I didn't hesitate. I turned and ran, my footsteps echoing through the ballroom, the house itself seeming to propel me towards the door. I stumbled out into the night, gasping for air, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't stop running until I reached my front door, slamming it shut behind me. I leaned against it, my chest heaving, a sense of relief washing over me. I was safe, I was home. But as I looked up, I saw her standing in my window, her eyes fixed on me, filled with the same sorrow and longing. Emily had followed me home. A chill ran down my spine as I stared at her. The curse of the Bellows house. It wasn't just a story, it was real, and now it was a part of me. Emily wasn't just a ghost. She was a reminder, a harbinger of something worse, something that would haunt me forever. I was trapped now, bound to the house and its dark past, forever cursed by the tragedy of that Halloween night. As I stared into her eyes, I knew I would never be free. Emily would always be with me, a constant presence, a haunting reminder, and I knew then that Halloween night that I was doomed, forever trapped in the nightmare of the Bellows house.